What's going on, everybody? This is Daniel Harms, film analyst here at the RGR Football Channel, and today is Tuesday, so we have another video for you, and we're going to talk a little bit about one of the greatest accomplishments that's happened over the past 4 or 5 years in Kansas City Chiefs history, not named Patrick Mahomes. Before we do that, we're going to talk a little bit about getting the channel out there. We want you guys to hit that like, hit the bell, and that sub. The bell notification gets you everything that Ryan and I do and everyone else here at the RGR channel. Every time the video goes up, boom, you get that notification. The sub definitely helps us grow as we continue to get out there for the rest of Chiefs Kingdom, and that like continues to let us get our videos out there to pop up on other people's channels. So if you watch a Chiefs video, it might suggest that related part. So we're just trying to grow. We just appreciate you guys' support. Please do hit that like. It helps out a ton. Now, today is just another day in this off season where things don't really happen. Okay, there's not much going on. It's the lull before training camp, before real OTAs begin, and there's not much to do. There's not much to talk about. So let's go ahead and talk about one of the greatest accomplishments that not only Brett Veach has done over the past 3 years, 5 years really, but one of the greatest things that has been done in the NFL in the past couple of seasons. After the Chiefs lost that Super Bowl to Tom Brady and the Buccaneers and just getting decimated up front with injuries and the reality setting in that they have a finesse offensive line that isn't going to work all the time to be able to, unless you have some linchpins, athleticism that are huge, athletic and strong, which are guys you're usually getting at the top of your first round picks. You're not going to find those guys everywhere. So as you continue to win games, go to AFC championships, go to Super Bowls, you're going to be picking down in the pecking order. The best offensive linemen are going to continue to find their ways out. So what happens? You have to change things around. The Chiefs realized, really Brett Veach and everyone else realized, that offensive line wasn't going to hold up very much. So they went out last year, obviously, revamped the entire offensive line, new starters across the board, brought in Orlando Brown, brought in Joe Thuney, drafted Trey Smith, drafted Creed Humphrey. They had drafted Lucas Niang the year before, but ended up being a mix of Lucas Niang and Andrew Wiley, and that's going to be the real problem going forward, figuring out that right tackle spot. But from right guard all the way to left tackle, as soon as Orlando Brown gets his contracts figured out, which I do believe they're going to do before that July 15th deadline, the Chiefs offensive line really went from one of the worst down the stretch of the 2020 season to being a top 5 offensive unit last year. How much higher can they go? Can they be the best offensive line in the NFL? If they get that right tackle spot figured out, whether it's going to be Andrew Wiley, whether it's going to be Lucas Niang, whether it's going to be Darian Kennard, who's going to have a chance to start at right tackle for him this year, assuming that everything goes well with his weight loss, he can keep it off, he can get his footwork under wraps, because regardless of losing that weight, you have to be able to have the proper weight distribution, and your footwork still has to be good. He did not have good feet in college at Kentucky. So those are some of the things that he needed to work on. He was working with Duke Manyweather this offseason, much like Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith did last year. We saw them improve leaps and bounds. And then going from working with Duke to getting in the room with the offensive line coaching, with the veterans, being able to do all of that. Andy Heck does an absolutely fantastic job of developing these young offensive linemen. We saw it even with Trey Smith's up and downs last year. He was a much better starter than he would have been had he not worked with Duke Manyweather and then gone right to Andy Heck. There would have been a much more transition process, but he came in knowing really how to do everything that he needed to. Still has some issues, some technical issues, some weight distribution issues that will figure themselves out as he gets along and still works next to some really good offensive linemen. If we can get that linchpin at right tackle for the future, if the Chiefs can figure out what they want to do with Orlando Brown, we know Thuney is here for the next 4 seasons. Creed Humphrey is not going anywhere. The dude's an all-pro center. You watch what they're able to do, and how Patrick Mahomes has figured out the strengths and the weaknesses of that offensive line. They had bumps. They had some real lumps that they took in that first part of the season, but near the end and into the playoffs, they were able to just work. They did everything right. Patrick Mahomes, the biggest problem for him last year was figuring out Orlando Brown's strengths and his weaknesses and trying to, because he likes to get outside the pocket. We know Patrick, he does have his tendencies to get outside the pocket, to get a little bit deep. And that was a problem that was happening with Orlando Brown and Patrick last year. Early on in the season, they had their struggles figuring it out. in the end there, you saw him get so much more comfortable learning to step up, stay in that pocket, or get out to the right if he needed to. He was much more confident in the offensive line. That just takes time. Chemistry, being the brand new unit, a whole different atmosphere for each of these players is something they all had to deal with. So when you're able to take that in stride, develop as the season goes along, and still get to an AFC Championship game with that offensive line that it was constructed, it's perfect. It's beautiful. It's how you draw it up. No team can say that they've gone out and basically got 5 brand new starters in one off season and were able to just get right back to basically right back to where they were, and they've constructed a top 5 offensive line. So we acknowledge all of that. This season is going to be the true test of the offensive line because the offense is going to change. Patrick Mahomes is going to have to continue to get better. It's hard to say for a guy who's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but he has to get better. He has to get more distributive. We've seen over the course of the last 10 years, the best quarterbacks, let's just name off a few: Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, to an extent, Peyton Manning. They all like to distribute the ball to their playmakers. This offense in Kansas City has gone through Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill the entire time that Patrick Mahomes has been the quarterback. That's going to change. Patrick Mahomes has Travis Kelce still. He's going to be the best tight end in football. I believe he's going to have another all-time season into 2020, but everything else now is up for grabs. How are the Chiefs going to use this offensive line they constructed last year to continue to get better? They need to realize last year, I know this is painful, but remember that the Bengals game in the AFC Championship game, even though Clyde did not have a great year last year, the 3 running backs that they were using in the AFC Championship game with Clyde, Darrell, and Jarek were all able to run the football at will. Even at times in the Super Bowl against the Buccaneers 2 years ago, when the Chiefs were able to run the ball. Because even as good as Tampa Bay's run defense is, they were worried about the pass. When you're able to take advantage of those things, you just keep running the ball until they force the stop, okay? When you're getting 5+ yards a clip, even for a guy who in Clyde had a very down year last year. Let's just talk about it as it was. He was not good. A lot of it had to do with him coming back from getting down to 160 pounds, which is it's unfathomable to think about for a professional running back who's nearly 220 pounds on a regular basis, getting down, losing 60 pounds because of a gallbladder issue, having to had that surgery. We all really didn't know about it. They didn't talk about it until the end of the season. So it's difficult with a guy who he had some good games. He had some struggles, and he definitely had some issues creating yards after things kind of swallowed up. The offensive line did a great job of holding up lines for him, but he was not able to execute past that a lot of times. His rookie season, he was doing that a little bit more consistently. I think we're going to hopefully see a bounce back to that this year. But are the Chiefs going to take advantage of that? Are they going to be able to use the ball, the run game with Clyde, with Rojo? I expect them to mix both of them in. I still think Clyde's going to be the bell cow. When I say bell cow, that's loosely translated to the guy who gets the most touches. I think they're going to give him one last season to show that he can be the guy. If he doesn't do it, he's gone. And then Rojo's a guy they didn't invest a whole lot in, more of an incentive-laden deal. So this is Clyde's year to show that he can be the guy, but they have to use him properly, okay? This is the year that the targets from Tyreek Hill are vacated. You have to distribute them properly. I think Clyde's going to get more touches this year in the passing game. But really what this comes down to is the Chiefs realizing that they have a top 5 offensive line, and they have to use it as such. More dynamic, running the ball, cater to the strengths of this offensive line. They can use the power game to more effective measures and run some more gap power concepts of this offensive line that actually do play into Clyde's strengths, being able to move linebackers and find extra gaps in between the tackles. That's his strengths. He's not an outside runner, never has been, never will be. So if they can commit to that a little bit more, and then they can find out getting the ball out in these quick areas, using this offensive line, the strength that it is, keeping Patrick in the pocket, I think is going to be a huge distribution advancement this year, because he did figure out last year, look, I have to stay in the pocket a little bit more. Can't always just get outside. It's not always going to be the best situation for him, not get hurt. As he continues to mature and develop and read defenses better, having this offensive line in front of him is going to be so valuable to him. I believe he's going to have an incredible season, close to what he was his rookie year in terms of distribution, getting that ball to everybody, being able to take advantage of what defenses will be giving him, trying to really bring those safeties back down a little bit, because when they're in the too high, you should be able to run the ball and you should be able to throw the ball underneath. Now that the Chiefs offense is taking a little bit of a detour, they're no longer going to be what we've seen the last couple of years. They bring in, MVS, Juju Smith-Schuster, they draft Sky Moore, they have Justin Ross they brought in. They're going a different route. They're trying to cater their offense to being a little bit more dynamic, more versatile. And I think that's what you have to do. You have to continue to adapt. And I'm hoping that Andy Reid and company see that this offensive line, outside of Patrick Mahomes, is the strength of their offense. Run through it. Use it with multiple different avenues. More real play action. Stop so much with the RPOs. You don't need to do that anymore. This offensive line can handle a true play action pass. It can handle a true drop back under center. It doesn't need to be RPOs galore. Defenses were sitting on them last year. They have to start running the ball a little bit more. They have to, and when I say a little bit, I just mean the tick. I don't mean it crazy, because the offense is going to go with Patrick Mahomes, but the RPOs can come to the wayside a little bit. Use more true play action. That's where Patrick can grow. That's where this offense can be the most lethal, because even though they're not the best running offense, they don't have Jonathan Taylor. They don't have those guys. They could have had Jonathan Taylor, but they didn't. They don't have that run game that forces linebackers and safeties to come down into the box. They just don't. So take advantage of that. You're going to get more wide open spaces in that first 10 yards. Get 5, 6, 7 yards a clip in the run game. Use a true play action pass and open up some intermediate seams and some intermediate passes to really force defenses to say, okay, doesn't matter what we do. We can't hold back. We can't sit back in too high, because they're going to carve us up underneath. And then when you can run the ball better, you can run it better in the red zone, and you can be more effective and impactful and score touchdowns that way too. It's going to force defenses to say, look, we can't just keep doing what we did last year. If you can adapt with the times, you can use that offensive line. It's going to be the huge linchpin in Kansas City this year. If they cater to that offensive line, they will. I'm telling you right now, if they cater to that offensive line, they will win the Super Bowl in 2022. That is without a doubt, and I believe it 100%. The defense is going to have some growing to do, but we've seen the offense be the cater and the catalyst to winning Super Bowls. They will win it in 2020 if they cater to this offensive line. Period. This is what they got to do. With Patrick Mahomes and you have that offensive line, boom, it's match made in heaven. It's beautiful. It's everything. That's all that matters. What I want you guys in the comments, who is going to be the right tackle starting week 1? Week 1. You have 3 options, okay? So give me the guy you think is going to start week 1 in Kansas City at right tackle, and give me a surprise. Somebody that either played extremely well last year that, maybe has a little bit of a down year, and then or somebody that maybe had some struggles last year and is able to really take over and be an elite type player. Or just one offensive lineman you think is going to be an all-pro next year, because I guarantee you there's going to be one all-pro on this offensive line in 2022. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is going to be a fun season talking about the offense. We're really going to see how Andy Reid, Brett Veach, Patrick Mahomes talk about this whole. Really, with Matt Nagy back, they can have a bunch of creativity in the offensive room, and maybe Matt Nagy's just not a head coach. Maybe he's just an offensive coordinator and an offensive skilled kind of guy, which I don't blame him. So it happens to some people. So I'm hoping that the offense can get more creative. It can get more understanding of its strengths and really cater to that offensive line. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are. Tune in tomorrow. I'm going to have a Brian Cook film review for you. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. This guy is going to help the defense so much, and I hope you guys enjoy that film review. It's going to be a lot of fun. And again, make sure you tune in Thursday, Chief in the North with Ryan and Seth. Maybe I'll make another guest appearance here soon. That was a lot of fun. I look forward to doing those more in the future as well. And then Rogue Head Huddle on Friday if Stevie and Gooch have another one for you guys. Thank you so much. If you're new to the channel, hit that like, hit the sub, hit the bell notification. Helps you. It helps us grow. That would be so great. Please hit that like. You guys have a great day.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.